What's going on, folks? It's the 1st of April. April Fools. You guys know how I feel about this holiday, by the way. I shared it towards the end of our lunch hour live stream earlier today. I think it's a total sorry holiday. But that's just me, and perhaps that's me being the Grinch. Perhaps that's me being Mr. Get Off Your Lawn, Get Off My Lawn, so on and so forth, Mr. Curmudgeon. Anywho, welcome inside the channel. Glad you guys can be with me today. This episode is brought to you by my friends at Primary Residential Mortgage. You can learn more about them and what I currently have available to you as a Bobby Baltimore subscriber by clicking on the link that's included in the show notes. It's also a pinned comment right now in the live chat, and I'll have more on it in just a bit. I wanted to begin with not breaking news, so to speak, because I believe it was actually reported on yesterday, but something that started to make its way down my timeline just within the last hour or so. And that is regarding former Ravens defensive end and current free agent. I was going to say current Miami Dolphin, but that's actually not the case because 38-year-old Calais Campbell is a free agent. He will turn 39 in September. Calais, of course, spent several years in Baltimore, 2020 to 2022. Spent last year in Atlanta. In 23. He was in Atlanta, spent last year as a member of the Miami Dolphins. And according to some Miami reporting, we'll get to specifically Barry Jackson's thoughts in just a second here, the details specifically. But as Pro Football Talk also shared from Barry's reporting, Calais does have an offer from the Ravens that's reportedly on the table. Not surprising if you followed this story, I know the way that we did back in November prior to the trade deadline and some of the news that came out of that as a result. I'll have some of that in just a bit, just in case you missed it. But the Ravens aren't the only offer that's on the table. According to this report, Miami wants him back. Baltimore wants him back. But guess what? He could very well not want either one of them and instead choose to retire. He's at that point in his career. He's been signing short-term, team-friendly deals now for a while. But the thing about Calais is that his value cannot be questioned, and he's still playing at a very high level. Here is the report from Barry Jackson of the Miami Herald. Again, multiple reports. He's played 17 seasons, or I should say multiple offers, not multiple reports. This is the only report that's on the table from Jackson of the Miami Herald. 17 seasons now. Started all 17 games for Miami last year. So the durability, man, God bless the guy. The durability has not gone south on him. The impact has not gone south on him. 52 tackles, 5 sacks, 12 QB hits last year. And yeah, a legendary 110.5 sacks throughout his future Hall of Fame career. He's been exceptional. Here's the funny part. If you've been following along, you know the Ravens already tried to make this happen a while ago.
Meanwhile, the Miami Dolphins have now won 2 in a row, thanks in part to the play of their defense and Calais Campbell. Here's a fun fact. The Baltimore Ravens nearly traded for Calais Campbell right at the trade deadline. The deal was essentially done. In 2026 fifth-rounder Mike McDaniel stepped in and said, "You are too valuable. We are not dead yet." And they have now won 2 in a row.
Ian Rappaport's reporting from back in November, around the trade deadline, when the Ravens apparently tried to bring their big fella back to Baltimore. Again, Mike McDaniel stepped in there and nixed it. He's the head coach of the Miami Dolphins. And this, in the aftermath of nixing it and that report surfacing, he described it and responded this way.
So, I mean, I guess, yes, the offer for compensation for his services was real. And I think it wasn't like it was Chris versus me. It was more that Chris, looks at the way I do, or we work together. And, yeah, I may or may not have thrown an adult temper tantrum. I mean, I think you have to look at, that's the tricky thing about Chris's job is he has to look long-term and short-term at the same time. What's the best for the organization? And then he also, we rely on each other for, things that, I need to be on top of. And one of that's the locker room and what one individual does for an entire team. And I think it speaks to us because that was a strong compensation for a guy that's he just passed the 30-year-old mark. I think but it speaks to how he's playing. It speaks to what he means to the team. That teams would be willing to do that, and there was some competition for that. But yeah, my job is to speak on behalf of what's the best thing for the 2024 Dolphins, and I'm just fortunate to work in an organization where myself and the GM can be can just be transparent and work together. And he didn't want to see any more adult temper tantrums. So
no personality at the head coach level across the National Football League, quite like Mike McDaniel, but that's neither here nor there. Clearly his impact, his value was felt, it's palpable in Miami, and that's ultimately why Mike McDaniel stepped in and nixed the would-be trade that Eric DeCosta and the Ravens front office attempted to make back in November. Again, Calais, at this point in his career, yes, he is a Band-Aid. I see a lot of you reacting in such a manner in the live chat regarding his age, regarding, yes, this would be his second stint. But at the end of the day, the Ravens aren't necessarily in a position to make big splashes, right? And so at this point, because of the way that they're constructed right now with their roster, they are just looking to fill in the smaller voids, right, that need to be filled. And Calais could very well be one of those players. Again, the durability has not gone south on him. 17 games last year in Miami he played. I mentioned some of these statistics a little bit earlier on. 52 total tackles, 35 of which were solo, 12 tackles for loss, 5 sacks, a forced fumble, and 5 PBUs, pass breakups. Calais is obviously a treat for any NFL locker room. He's the Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year back in 2019. That was his final year as a member of the Jacksonville Jaguars. He was a Cardinals second-round pick. You got to go all the way back to 2008. He's 6'8", 307, a force to be reckoned with still at this point in his career. From a field goal protection unit standpoint, he's a star, impacts every single kit that he's on the other side of. He's a future Hall of Famer, but as was recently heard on NFL Films, retirement is still very much an option.
You cry when he's like, I'm not playing football anymore.
Hold on. You think I'm gonna cry when I retire?
Yes. When the next season is on and like there's games on TV, you're gonna be crying.
I don't know. I think I gave everything to this game. I don't know. We'll see. I'm gonna see how my body felt in this year, but I'm probably gonna retire. This is probably it.
All right, that was recently, again, courtesy of NFL Films. And how could he not be mulling retirement? The guy's accomplished just about everything you possibly can, aside from that elusive Lombardi trophy and a Super Bowl title. Again, this is a player that needs no introduction, was really impactful during his time in Baltimore. He's a 6-time Pro Bowler. One of those came during his first season as a Raven. He was named to the NFL's 2010 All-Decade team. I mean, just look at this. He has hopped around from team to team here in recent years. And the Ravens clearly have interest based on this report from Barry Jackson, one of the 2 teams that has an offer on the table for Calais at this point in his career. And I get it. Some of you guys are like, look, this is a Band-Aid. Well, that's just where the Ravens are right now. And that is really a byproduct of where they currently stand with the types of players that they have on the books, right? With a franchise quarterback, with a star tight end that has a heavy third highest cap hit on this team moving forward, at least into 2025, in Mark Andrews. You got talent littered all throughout this roster, and you're in win now mode. And sometimes that comes with, especially when you get on the back end, which they're approaching, right? The back end of Lamar's star-studded contract. This is sometimes the reality that comes with these types of signings, right? The latter half of free agency, somebody that's on the back nine of his career. And for Calais' purposes, somebody that is absolutely mulling retirement. Mike McDaniel spoke earlier this week, as John Harbaugh and all coaches did, from the NFL's annual league meeting in Palm Beach, Florida. And he had this to say about the current situation when it comes to Calais, because the Ravens aren't the only ones waiting for Big 93. Miami's the other team, reportedly, that has an offer on the table for him, as I've mentioned a couple times now.
Specifically, is in a unique situation where he's assessing, multiple options as a player in the 45th year of his career. So, I understand, and there's a lot at play in that with regard to, all right, so you're afforded your play is high, you decided to play another year. He's assessing those options, and he's a very important player to the team last year.
You're dang right he was. And still, at this point in his career, still having an impact, which is why you're seeing a lot of these teams, or at least a couple of these teams, want to make room for him. Ravens are one of them. More on Calais in just a second, and an update given by Roger Goodell about the ongoing investigation that exists right now for Justin Tucker. But first, this episode is brought to you by my friends at Primary Residential Mortgage. If you've been following the show, you know that they've been with me for a year and a half now. They have been a tremendous supportive sponsor of mine. And if you're looking for ways to make your home buying process even more affordable and convenient, PRMI is a great place to start. And they're excited to share an exclusive offer that's available to you as a Bobby Baltimore subscriber that can help you achieve your dream of owning a home. Primary is giving away $100 gift certificates, which go directly towards your closing costs for qualified applicants. So if you are getting your home buying process started this spring, this could be a great opportunity for you. This means you can save on one of the essential steps in the home buying process, making it easier to achieve your home ownership goals. You can redeem the certificate by scanning the QR code that you see right now on the screen, or just click on the link that I have included in a couple different places. One, it's in the live chat. It's also in the top of the show notes as well. The certificate itself is valid for 90 days from the date of receipt. The offer ends 1 month from today. That's May 1st of 2025. So don't miss out on this opportunity. Take advantage of this limited time offer to save on your home buying journey. PRMI is an equal housing lender, NMLS 3094. They've been a joy to work with. I hope you'll consider giving them a shot as well. Back to Calais, and if you're just popping on the live stream, the news here is that according to Barry Jackson of the Miami Herald down in South Florida, the Ravens are one of two offers that are currently on Calais' table. That's right. 38-year-old, soon to be 39 in September, Calais Campbell, still drawing interest from teams. And if you look at the Ravens' history when it comes to either his position or similar players, in terms of where they're at in their career and whatnot, there's other names that come to mind. The Ravens in recent years have gone into this pipeline, right? The guys that are on the back nines of their careers to suck whatever juice they have left in them out of them. Jason Pierre-Paul comes to mind, Justin Houston, Kyle Van Noy. Maybe go all the way back to Elvis Dumervil. And then on top of that, knowing how they have to retool to begin with Michael Pierce deciding to hang up his cleats and retire after 9 NFL seasons, as we learned just a couple weeks ago. Yeah, you hope that Travis Jones can step up, and he's certainly shown flashes that he'll be capable of that, but you need depth, right? Brent Urban, defensive end, multiple stints with Baltimore. On the back nine of his career, he's a free agent, perhaps a handshake deal, as he's been in recent seasons, should he want to continue to play football. You know, that's an option. But I think what's intriguing about this is that, sure, at this point, aside from the draft, you don't have a ton of cash, a ton of salary cap space to sit here and spend big, or else they would have in the early part of free agency last month. That has now come and went. So what do? Up and down the defensive line, you retool. You retool through the draft. You retool through the latter half of free agency the way that they might very well with Calais, should he not retire, should he choose Baltimore over Miami. And that's kind of that. Not to mention just how tremendous of a leader he is, tremendous locker room presence that he brings to Baltimore. At this point, he is only hanging around, right? At this point, Calais is simply hanging around for the sole reason of chasing a Lombardi. He's been clear about that for years now. And I think we can all agree his best chance to do so is coming back to Baltimore. I expect Miami to be competitive, but I don't expect them to be truly competing with the elite of the elite in the AFC. With the Kansas Cities, with the Buffaloes, with the Baltimores. Perhaps Cincinnati will have something to say about that if they can retool defensively. We'll see if Houston can fix their offensive line for CJ Stroud. So on and so forth. So that's the latest. But again, as intriguing as this is, you also have to keep in mind, again, comments from NFL Films and a segment that he did earlier this offseason, because it's very clear that retirement could very much be a legitimate option for a soon-to-be 39-year-old who's been in this league since 2008.
Who cry when he's like, I'm not playing football anymore.
Hold on. You think I'm gonna cry when I retire?
Yes. When the next season is on and like there's games on TV, you're gonna be crying.
I don't know. I think I gave everything to this game. I don't know. We'll see. I'm gonna see how my body felt in this year, but I'm probably gonna retire. This is probably it.
All right, some transparency there, perhaps from Calais. And by the way, I had to throw a screenshot over that for copyright purposes. But just know he had a glass of red wine, and it looked like a hefty, bougie, big-time, high-end glass of red wine. And sometimes that gets us thinking very, very clearly and maybe even in a reflective state. So there you have it. That's the latest there. The Ravens appear to be in pursuit of a former Raven. It's Calais Campbell. He's got offers on the table from the Ravens and the Dolphins. And clearly, his best option, perhaps in his mind, after he's done weighing it all out and taking a close look at things, could very well be retirement. But given the Ravens' depth or lack thereof along the defensive front, Michael Pierce's retirement, Brent Urban right now being on the outside looking in as a free agent, and some of the other decisions that they have to make in order to best serve themselves moving forward, continue to get that interior pass rush presence, continue to get to the quarterback the way they do very well in the regular season. Maybe this is one of those Band-Aid fixes that his final year. What a story that would be. The future eventual Hall of Famer decides to hang it up after one more year in Baltimore to chase a Lombardi. Sounds like destiny to me. Appreciate you guys for being with me. It's going to be a quick one on this end just because I have some dinner plans. And quite honestly, I'm fighting some allergies right now. There is so much pollen in the air. My eyes have been watering and heavy all day. Got some weird congestion that's building up. Maybe it's just because I've been going from like climate to climate. Went from 3-week working vacation in Florida to Boston for a wedding this past weekend, then back to Baltimore. Opening day was 80 degrees out there yesterday. Orioles get the dub in front of their home crowd. Buzz Williams, the newest head coach of Maryland basketball after Kevin Willard departed for Villanova. Lots going on, but I'm feeling a little bit under the weather, so I'm going to cut it short. That's the Calais news. Sarah and I will have more on that tomorrow. Our Ravens Lunch Hour live stream kickstarts at 12 noon Eastern, as always, tomorrow, Wednesday. If you could like the video on the way out, I'd appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Hit that notification bell so you can be notified of when I'm dropping my content. And you could also hit me up on Discord. It's a 24/7 hub for conversations surrounding Baltimore sports. Over 800 members, or coming up on 800 members, I think, which is a great little community. Love for you guys to join. It's free to do so. Discord link. Entering the live chat right now. Great community. Would love to get to 1,000 members at some point soon. And it is officially draft season, 23 days from right now. Sarah and I will have our extravaganza, our wall-to-wall coverage beginning on opening night, Thursday, the 24th. Thanks to Primary Residential Mortgage for the support and the opportunity to continue partnering with them. Thanks to all of you for dropping by. I'll catch up with you on Wednesday, if not before. Talk to you soon. Later.